Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Rashawn427, and today I actually want to discuss the release of pretty much one of, I would say, WWE's biggest stars, to be honest, today, modern biggest stars, and it's actually Matt Riddle. Now, I didn't talk about any of the other releases. There was two reasons. First, I didn't really care. I'm just going to be completely honest. I mean, a lot of people they released, it really wasn't a surprise to me and stuff like that, but it just is what it is. I mean, they haven't been on TV, so it really wasn't surprising. And it's just like, I know I'm not saying harsh, I didn't care, but I just didn't. I mean, there's a few names, Dolph Ziggler, Shelton Benjamin, but even those, they really aren't surprising to me at all, to be honest. But the reason I actually want to come on here and talk about this one, because this one wasn't a surprise to me, but he just had so much potential and so much to actually do with his career. Now, he might end up back in WWE. Now, whenever somebody gets released, is always blaming WWE. The fans blame WWE. They say they didn't use them right, which I do think some of the names on that list, they weren't being used right. But then it's like at the same time, would they have been the stars? You really don't know. But for him, in his case, I can't really blame WWE because they pushed him pretty good for a long time. I mean, there was rumors he was supposed to win the Royal Rumble in 2022, and even though that rumor has kind of been debunked and put back and forth and stuff like that, it just, if he was even going to be considered to win the Royal Rumble, that shows how much stock they actually had in him and how much they actually believed in him at that time, at those points in time. And he had a lot of stuff that happened outside of the ring, like the recent thing that happened at the airport, the people he's been dating, and that's been there's just a whole lot of controversies with him. So I understand why they actually got rid of him, why they actually let him go. I understand it, but just the potential of him, just how big of a fan I was, because to be honest, all the people who got released, I really wasn't a fan of except Matt Riddle. So he's the only guy who I was actually a fan of, and I actually really liked and enjoyed. I really think he had a bright future inside WWE. But the thing about it is that if his personal antics continue, I just don't see him having. I mean, he might have a future, but I just don't see AEW picking him up. Now, AEW has done that with the Jeff Hardy situation, with WWE let him go because of his whole personal issues. And then when he got to AEW, he had even worse personal issues. So, I mean, what you could say that Daddy is kind of hypocritical because there are guys in the company who has issues and they're still not released, like a Jimmy Uso, but we all know why he is still with the company. But I really think that Matt Riddle still has a bright future. I believe he's like in his 30s, his early 30s. I do think he has a bright future inside. He might be even in his 20s, inside wrestling, period, and even coming back to WWE. But this was definitely not really a shock, but it's not something that I want to happen. Because when people was talking about the releases and stuff, Matt Riddle was named as coming up. And I won't mention the other names. I mean, you pretty much know who might get released. I mean, it's pretty obvious some of those names on who still in the company who just might be released. But I won't really do that. But just Matt Riddle, I mean, yeah, this is something. I was a huge Matt Riddle fan. And I definitely want to see him go to AEW. I mean, that's pretty much where he would end up going. And I definitely think AEW will pick him up, even despite his personal issues and everything that happened with him. But I think this is one of those cases where it wasn't actually WWE. It was actually the wrestler. Because I would agree that some of the cases, it was WWE and them not using him right, like a Bray Wyatt or like who else? Braun Strowman. Well, Braun Strowman's kind of mixed, but or like a Braun Strowman, people like that who I feel like they mistreated and misused inside the company. But I feel like something like Matt Riddle, and I understand why they actually did it. And there was actually a rumor that Dana White doesn't like him, since Dana White is actually part of the board, that he actually hates him. I hope that wasn't the reason, because to release him just because someone on the board doesn't like him, I feel like that's absolutely wrong to actually do that. But if he was released for the reasons that we all know that he was actually released and the reason they got rid of him, but I just hope that he definitely make his way back to the WWE. I think that one day he'd make his way back to the WWE. And a lot of people thought he was protected because of the Randy Orton thing. Him and Randy Orton are super close, but I mean, it gets to a point where it doesn't matter who you're close with. You just gotta go and you gotta go. And I don't know if his contract was big, because I personally believe the reason they released Dolph Ziggler and Shelton Benjamin, because Dolph Ziggler definitely had a nice contract, and it's just like, why am I paying a guy? I think he was getting a pretty nice contract, Dolph Ziggler, millions and millions of dollars. Why are you paying him that much just for him to be a jobber, just for him to sit around? Because he hasn't even been on TV. I think he's been on TV, twice in the last 6 months, I want to say. He was at a house show in March, but I believe even around that time with the house show, he wasn't even on TV, from what I believe, from what I remember, because I was surprised to actually see him at the house show that I seen him in March. That was the first time, and I got to see him in person. Matt Riddle, actually got to see him at Extreme Rules 2022. I want to say it was, Extreme Rules of last year in Philadelphia. I actually got to see him. I believe that was the only time I ever got to see Matt Riddle actually wrestle in person. I believe that was the only time, from what I can remember. But yeah, tell me your thoughts in the comment section below. We think about Matt Riddle getting released by WWE. It's sad for me, but it's really not that surprising for me personally, because it's just like, it is what I expected it, but I just didn't want it to happen. But tell me your thoughts in the comment section below on Matt Riddle getting released by WWE. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching.